Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to finish off your Kumihimo braids. And I have these two as examples. So I'm going to show you how to finish off a round one using these type of ends, and then how to finish off a flat one. So if you want to learn how to do that, then stay tuned. Now the first Kumihimo braid that I'm going to show you how to finish off is a round one. And I have one here that I've made and I've yet to finish off the ends. Now the way that I like to do this, because I think it looks most professional, is to use some end caps. They're called different things. It's like bell ends, Kumihimo ends, and they have this kind of, they look a bit like bells, some of them. But you can obviously get them in different sizes and different kinds. These are just a couple of different ones. This is a very small one, so if you have a very thin braid, you could use that, and then just a selection of sizes. So that all depends on the size of your braid, how thick it is. So you can either measure it and make sure you get the right ones, or just have a selection, because you might make different thicknesses throughout anyway. I like to have a bit of a selection of different sizes. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So you want to take your braid, you have your knots on both ends just to secure the braid in place while you're working with it. And what you want to do is get out a separate piece of cord or something. It could be just a scrap piece. It doesn't have to be very long. It could be cord, beading thread, tiger tail, anything that you can really use to tie off with. It's just temporary anyway. And most likely you're going to have some kind of scrap cord laying around. And then you start with one end. And all you do is find a place where you want the braid to end, and you use this cord just to tie off the braid. Just make a simple knot, like so. And I like to just go around and make one more on the other side. Just so this cord stays in place while I'm working with it. Like so. And now what you want to do is get some scissors out. It can be any scissors that you just feel are good enough to cut with. And then you want to go, you have your cord here that you tied around your braid, and then you go above that a little bit, maybe about 1 centimeter or so I normally go. And then what you do is you just cut off your knot. And you can just cut a little bit off if there's some excess cord coming out. Like so. And then basically what you need to do now, if you haven't already, is decide which size is the right one. So you can just gently try on. I feel like this is going to be the right size, so I can put the other ones away. And then now you need to put the end cap on. To do this you need to get out some glue. For this particular thing, finishing off Kumihimo ends and braids, I really like using E6000 because it's really strong and it's just really nice to work with, and it stays nice and secure. So you get that, and what you want to do is get glue inside your end cap. You want to get a decent amount. You don't want to completely fill it with glue, because then it's just going to spill out when you put your braid in there anyway. But you want to get a decent amount. Basically you want to coat the whole thing in the inside. So you want to make sure the glue goes right to the bottom and then around the sides as well. What you could always do is get maybe like a toothpick or something to make sure that you distribute it properly. Like so. Put your glue away. And then I haven't filled it completely because you need the space there to be able to put your braid in. And all you do, still with the cord attached, is you then slowly and gently put in your braid. Make sure you stuff in all the cords so nothing's sticking out. And then what you can do now, if this is a bit in the way or something, you can take this cord off that you used to tie off your braid, because you don't want that to get stuck on there or anything, like so. And just maneuver it into place until you know it's in there nicely and securely and it sits right where you want it to sit. Make sure you move it around a bit so the glue gets right in there and it mixes up with the end cap and with the cords and stuff. Like so. So that's pretty much it, and now all you need to do is obviously leave it to dry. You want to make sure that it's dry properly before you then use it for anything. Usually it will dry fairly quickly, but just to be safe, leave it overnight or something. And then obviously you do the same thing on the other end. You decide how long you want it to be, and then just cut it off wherever you want it to end. And then because you have these loops on your ends, and that's where you then attach your jump rings and your clasp and all that. So that's how you finish off a Kumihimo braid, a round one. So the next Kumihimo braid I'm going to show you how to finish off is a flat one. And I have one here that I've prepared that I need to finish off. And for this I like to use these kinds of Kumihimo ends. They look like this from the sides. They're almost like a claw, and they have like little fangs to grab on with. They are most commonly known as ribbon ends. So if you want to search for them, you're more likely to find them with ribbon ends, but anything like that really. And you can get them in a fair few different sizes. I have just a range here. This is a 3cm one, so that's a fairly large one, and then ranging down to a very small one, which obviously it all depends on the size that your braid is, which one you need. So I'm going to show you how to finish that off now. So I've chosen the size of my end that I need, and the way I do that is I normally just, when I finish the braid, that's when you then can find out what size you need. I just lay it on top like this, because it's the width you want to check and see if it covers all the way across, but at the same time I don't want it to be too big so it sticks out on the sides too much. So that's just how I usually do it. And then what I do is you do one end at a time, and I usually get, you can just get a piece of scrap cord or wire or beading thread, tiger tail, anything really that you can use, and I just tie this, focus on one end first, I tie this around the end, I do a normal, just a regular knot, and then tie it, tighten it, roughly about where I want the braid to end. I usually go around the back as well, just to make sure it doesn't come undone while I'm working with it, like so. So you now have that looping around, so that means now that when you cut this knot off and you cut the excess cord off, your braid won't come undone, because this will hold it in place. It's only temporary. So now you tied that off, so it's not going to come undone. And the next thing I do is I grab a scissor, and I then just go in and cut off a bit above where I've tied it off. Go through the whole braid like this, and you now have your end. You can see most braids, if you cut it, they won't just come undone. You actually need to work it to come undone, but this is just to be sure that it won't come undone for definite. So it's always better with extra security. And then you want to get your end piece ready, and then you need to get some glue out. Now for this I like to use E6000. It's a really strong glue, so it's most certainly going to hold the whole thing together, so I do recommend this glue. And then what I do is I usually just use a toothpick, because you need to just get in there with the glue and make sure it covers the whole thing. Just get a bit of the glue on my toothpick, and then grab the end, and then you want to put glue inside of it. Make sure it goes all around the sides so that when you put your braid in there, that it grabs hold of every single cord. Like so. That's pretty good. You don't want to put too much glue in there, because then when you tighten it down, it'll just kind of squeeze it out all over the place. So just a decent amount to cover the sides, but not too much. And then you need to place this on the end of your braid. This is why you use these for the flat braids, and you use the bell ends or something similar for the round ones. It's purely to accommodate the shape of the braid. Just get them all in there, all the cords, just work it in. Don't need to rush. This glue doesn't dry immediately, you have a bit of time to work with it. But it goes tacky fairly quickly, which is actually kind of nice, because that's easier to work with rather than it being too liquid. Just get all the ends in there, make sure the sides, that's also what the glue is good for, to keeping the sides in, so they don't like poke out. Like so. So now that's placed pretty well, and you can still manipulate it as you go. Just do it slowly. Now what you want to do is get out a flat nose plier, because you now need to squeeze this down so it clamps down on the braid. That's why it has all these little teeth running across as well, which sometimes you might not need the glue in there. You could probably do it without. I just like that glue for extra security, but that's completely your discretion. You just place your flat nose pliers on, start with one side and work your way across. Don't squeeze it down all the way straight away, just do it gently a bit at a time, making sure that it's even, it stays in place and nothing gets pushed out, that everything stays in there. Now you just, the further you get it down, the harder you can squeeze to make sure it proper gets into the braid, so it definitely won't go anywhere. Like so. And that's pretty good, and it's very secure there now. And now you can take off this cord again, or whatever you've used, because you don't need that, it's in there securely now. And obviously you want to leave this to dry so it proper grabs onto the braid, and it's definitely not going to go anywhere. With this glue, I'd probably say it should be alright within a few hours, but ideally maybe try and leave it overnight. And then you obviously do the same thing with the other end. You would just tie it off, figure out how long you want your braid to be, so like measure it around your wrist, and you can see, because you need to then account as well for the clasp and that you're going to attach, so give that a little bit of space, and then say maybe for me I would do it there. So you tie it off again, do exactly the same thing, and then when you have both ends done and they're dry, you left them to dry, you have this little loop at the top where you then just attach jump rings and whatever clasp that you decide to put on there, and then it's done. So that's all there is to it. That's how you then finish off a flat braid. So I hope that was useful. So now that's covered both the round braid and the flat braid. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for watching.